So listen, I want to thank you guys. I'm going to get right to it. So you guys, once again, you only do this twice a year, where you provide all this great free content. People can get it at TheWholesaleFormula.biz, TheWholesaleFormula.biz. I'll put that in the chat. That is Eric and Dan own the Wholesale Formula. And they provide all this free training. So if you go to the top of that link, the wholesaleformula.biz, you're going to get access to all their free training. So that's interesting. I want to talk about that because this year, a lot of my subscribers, and actually myself, with the retail arbitrage arm of the business, they've been hitting roadblocks with either getting warning letters from the manufacturer, or they're in a letter that they're unauthorized. And then, of course, they get, when you do retail or online arbitrage, you have a slew of competition, price plummeting, et cetera. And every time I talk to my subscribers or I survey them, they come back with the same thing, the concerns that they're having doing retail arbitrage and even private label or online arbitrage. A lot of those things are remedied with sourcing wholesale the right way, which is the way that you guys teach it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 99 problems, but brand restriction isn't one. It's wonderful for us, I mean, it's not like we don't get those letters either. We do, but they're instantly cleared up. It's an email or a phone call to the manufacturer. They've emailed over our letter of authorization. We're back up and selling the product within 24 hours, and it's beautiful.
Good. So we've got a handful of participants. I want to see if anybody has any questions. You can type them in the chat box for you guys. Anyone have questions? And let's see if we get any questions from folks. And if not, I'll start throwing them out because I hear people are emailing me and saying, hey, Jordan, what about, does a wholesale formula do this, does it do that, et cetera? So I don't see a question yet. So I'll ask the first one. One thing that I get a lot from folks is that from folks that are outside the U.S. and they want to sell wholesale. They want to use your blueprint. They want to use the wholesale formula. What's your answer for that?
Sure. I mean, it absolutely works. Whenever you're trying to set up a business from outside the U.S., I actually think you have somewhat of an advantage because you can talk to a vendor about introducing the product into your marketplace as well as selling it on Amazon.com. So it gives you, that can definitely be an advantage for you. And as far as doing it, it's incredibly easy. I mean, it's not, what is a wholesaler looking for? Like if you're a U.S. citizen, they're looking for a resale certificate. If you're not a U.S. citizen, they're just looking for some sort of evidence, whatever that documentation is in your country that shows that you're a business. At the end of the day, they don't want to sell to consumers. They don't want to sell large quantities to consumers. Their goal is to sell to resellers who are going to sell that product. So if you can show that you're a reseller and have that documentation, it's incredibly easy to get set up and get started.
Yeah, and there's probably, that's the thing Dan was talking about. You have the opportunity, to get a presence on maybe a U.S. supplier is interested in having it on an international Amazon platform, and that's certainly one direction. And you have the other direction of maybe you're able to source a product in your country that would do well on .com that's underrepresented. So like you have certain advantages, that no matter what, we're never going to be able to get. So that's that's a good way to really think outside the box and utilize your advantages that you have, and that's certainly one when you're an international seller.
So we had somebody that followed up with that. They said, if I'm outside the U.S. and I want to buy and resell inside the U.S., what would be the expectations of the wholesale brands? And my answer is probably that they don't really need to know you're from outside the U.S. per se, correct?
Well, I mean, you're just able to send them your documentation that shows you're a company. Like you're going to set up your company. Let's say you're from, let's say you're from the UK. You're going to have your LTD or whatever paperwork that shows you're a company in the UK. That's all they're going to ask for is they're going to want to see that documentation, and then they'll be able to set you up with an account. So again, it's not very much different than what they're requiring of U.S. citizens.
But I just posted a link of the blog post that you guys put up, the 6 easy steps for non-U.S. residents who want to sell on Amazon. And that's your best resource. Your wholesale formula itself doesn't have a whole lot of content in it that's finessed for the outside U.S. seller, correct?
We did include some new videos this time, but it's it's a lot of that because there's really just not a whole lot of difference between being a international business and a U.S. based business on the wholesale side.
Excellent. If anybody has any questions, please type in the chat box, and I'll give another question that you guys hear a lot of. People say, okay, I want to get started with wholesale, but I don't have a ton of money. So generally speaking, when you guys are dealing with suppliers, well, you guys are different because you've been doing this for several years very successfully. But somebody, in your experience, somebody's just starting out, will suppliers work with people with a smaller budget? And if so, generally speaking, can you speak to that? How much they...
Of course. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing is what we find, people get intimidated when they think wholesale and they think minimum order quantities of thousands of dollars and get, intimidated. And I'm sure that's the case on a large scale if you're buying large, well-recognized brands, these large Nikes and these big, but that's not what we're looking for. So, that's why people, sometimes get intimidated and never even give it a go. So the people, most of the people that we're targeting, the manufacturer we're targeting, are going to have a minimum order quantity or an MOQ, if you ever hear me say that, of $300 to $500 tops. And so, in theory, you could get started there. Now, we advise to have more than that for a couple of reasons. And one is so that there's oftentimes price breaks. So like $300 minimum, but if you look at $600, you're going to get 10% off or 15% off. So you get a little margin built in if you're able to extend a bit more. And then, more importantly, you're able to buy multiple SKUs, whether it's through the same manufacturer or a couple of different manufacturers. And so you've got multiple irons in the fire at the same time, and you get more data points more quickly. So you're able to turn your money. So we recommend around $2,000, somewhere in that allows you to get, 3 to 4 really nice orders under your belt,
Right.
Flip them in 2 to 3 weeks. And then you've got, 4 nice juicy data points that you can look at, the sell-through rate on them. Did they perform the way you expected? And if you do it, you could do it in theory with one SKU and continue, but you're talking about the time extension it would take from 1 in a month. Next month you could do 2, whereas if you could start with 3 or 4 the first month, it builds and compounds so much.
Right. And that's interesting because the folks that venture into private label, and private label still works for a lot of people, and the folks that venture into that, particularly when they're talking about importing mass products from China, you're looking at $3, $4, $5 at least out of it. So that makes total sense. Thank you for that. So here's another question that I've been getting a lot from folks. Well, it's actually not a question, but it's just an observation. Is that I see a lot of people quitting early, not generally with Wholesale Formula, but with anything. So can you speak to that? Because to me, that's like one of the first people say, "Oh, this doesn't work," but one of the first signs is people quit right away. What's your experience with that?
Well, I mean, it's I think that's true for anything. It's right. People want it to be just the easy button. That's not always the case. I mean, you're going to meet resistance in this business, and it requires you to kind of have an understanding mindset. You will hear no a lot. But that's what we want to hear. I mean, that's how our dynamic has changed. Originally, we were just like everybody else. When we heard no, we got sad, and we were just like, what, right. This doesn't work. But once we started thinking about it, the people who are telling you no are the people who care about their brand. They don't want just any Yahoo selling their product. They want to make sure that their product's being represented the best it possibly could be. So right. Whenever we started thinking of it from that perspective, it shifted from something that wasn't good for us to something we actively look for, because those are the brands that over time you're not going to see a big bunch of price degradation and things like that. It's going to be typically your consistent sellers that perform well over time and you have great margins on. So while we're not looking to, or while the accounts we're picking up require more work on the front end, they require us to be told no a whole bunch. Whenever we get those accounts, they tend to do well for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that I've been telling folks to hook into an account effectively is to kind of critique in a positive fashion, critique their existing listing, because that's like kind of where the honeypot is. When the manufacturer doesn't realize their Amazon listing is missing a lot of things, it's probably affecting it in the rankings, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing is they're not very well versed, if at all, in the Amazon marketplace, and that's where we're able to leverage our expertise. And when I say that, people think, well, that's right, you guys are experts, I can't do that. When I say that, I'll tell them it's expertise, but it's literally knowing a couple of little minor things. But just as long as you know more than the person you're having the conversation with, I mean, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So you don't need to know, you just being able to change the listing and bullet points of how it affects the search engine. That simple knowledge is going to be vastly superior to who the person you're engaging.
Sometimes this is easy, just as looking up Amazon's own in your Amazon seller account, Amazon's own requirements for product images or titles or descriptions or etc. And then just looking at that, reading that, and just looking over it to the product that you want to resell, and saying, look at you, Mr. Brand Owner, you're not hitting 3 or 4 of these things. Let's make these suggestions and get you to sell more.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you're telling people to do that, it's a great suggestion. Like to critique their listing, because here's the thing: is a lot of these vendors don't really know what they should have. Like they don't know what they should expect. They feel like they have adequate representation, and what's really going on is they have enough sellers. They just don't have the right ones.
Right.
All this stuff, all the stuff that he mentioned, changing a picture or a description, that literally takes minutes. And I can tell you that, we don't, whenever, let's say we're going to add pictures or something like that, we don't take pictures. Like we don't, I'm not good at that. Eric's not good at that. All we do is request them from the manufacturer and then upload them with an Amazon case. So it takes us 10 minutes. But whenever you start thinking about it, it's like, how long has that listing been up? And it's been that long that the product has not been optimized. So whenever you start, putting in that perspective, there's a real reason that they want to work with us, because we're actively making a change that, again, it takes us 10 minutes, but right. That's a change that has evaded them for maybe 2-3 years. Who knows? However long the product's been on Amazon.
Very insightful. Let me get to a question. Here's another question also from the gentleman Ganesh, who talked about non-U.S. sellers. He says, for given brands, do you need to have a brand niche specific website to show that you being the third party seller, the Amazon seller, is the expert in that niche? That's a great question.
It is a great question. We've actually moved away from more like niche specific stuff. Like instead, we don't have a retail website or anything like that. The only kind of web page we use nowadays is it's very simple. It's a one-page website that introduces our company, talks about some of the cool stuff that we can do to help people, and just talks about our mission, why we're a company, and why we do what we do.
Yeah,
right.
It's a glorified mission statement, honestly.
Yeah, and the logic behind that is it's a much more simplistic message. Like I'm not trying to convince these brand owners that I'm selling lots of their product on my website, because it's just not true. And we found it it's
misleading.
It's misleading,
yeah.
and
right.
that's not the message. That's not the partnerships that we're trying to.
Because we're in this for the long term, so we want this partnership to last as long as possible. Because what happens is, what if we start relying on this income and they find out, hey, how much are you selling on your website? You kind of told us or alluded to the fact that you may be selling it, and we don't think you're selling that much on your website. So you're either stuck to the point of lying or telling the truth and possibly losing that account because you predicated it on, implying or even explicitly stating that you're going to sell on your website as part of it too. And so it just starts it off on the wrong foot, and we're in it for the long term. So we want to keep that relationship open and working for as long as possible and be upfront.
So that's interesting. If I want to go buy Nevada honeybee honey, for instance, and the misconception could be from somebody who's new to wholesale saying, I have to have a website up that shows that I'm an expert in honey and I've got all these different brands of honey, and I'm kind of lying by saying that I'm doing that, but I kind of need to trick them into thinking that I'm this high volume or moderate volume honey seller. But that's particularly if it's not true, it's just people are smarter than that. They're going to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, sure, but I mean, good. Think of it from this perspective. Do you want to start a partnership off with that? Based on something false? And the answer is just definitely no. So, I mean, again, rather than, what our goal is not to show them that we're an expert in a specific product line like honey. Like our job is to show them that we are an expert in Amazon.
Right. And
that's our focus. It's, what our goal is really simple. It's to say, hey guys, we realize that you guys have these types of Amazon problems and we can solve them for you.
So isn't that interesting? That's fantastic, because somebody who's afraid to contact a brand manufacturer and say, when well, I haven't done a lot of volume. I'm new to Amazon, right? But if they go in with that preparation to say, I'm a starting seller, I do have capital to buy a decent quantity from you to start off, and here are my ideas in helping you sell more product because there's some things not right with your Amazon listing. Here's how I can help you, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, look at it from this perspective. Like whenever you're, for these new sellers, like everybody has to start somewhere. We didn't start out with a whole bunch of experience in wholesale. You have to start somewhere. And then there's another concept or another part of this. A lot of the new sellers think of it from the perspective, why would anybody work with me? I don't really have a whole lot of experience. But the approach is different. If I come to Jordan and I'm, hey man, let me sell your products, you're probably going to be like, oh, tell me why I should, right? Like you're going to want a little more information. But if I come to Jordan and I'm like, hey Jordan, here's some of the problems that your Amazon listing has, and I can definitely get these fixed for you. Like, can you give me images to plug in, and we can get your Amazon listing up to speed in the next day or so. Are you going to be like, hey man, let me see your qualifications, or you just want to get that done, right?
Right, and it's interesting because I read James Altucher a lot, and he's like an entrepreneur, and he has several books out, and he says always give. Starting a relationship, you want to start a relationship. If you need something from somebody, give them a few things first, because the person on the end, the brand manufacturer, is used to people taking from him all day, beating him up, demanding him lower prices, etc., taking phone calls from people all over the place. But if you start with a give, where you say, hey, I'm going to help you out. We don't do business together. It's cool, but here's my recommendation. You know what I mean? That's a big plus to them, and you're gonna separate yourself from the other 100 folks that are trying to bang on their door too.
And I'm going to use that giving mentality and do a quick segue and to go ahead and answer a question that I'm sure is going to come up.
Yes.
Which is, should I call and ring them up and ask them for exclusives? Because I mean that's generally the next thing, people, and the answer is obviously not. And it's the same kind of thing. You start a conversation with, hey, let me be the only seller on Amazon. That's not going to go over very well. But you start with a relationship, and they understand that you do what you say and you honor the map, and you're a seller that's protecting their brand like you said that you would be. Then that conversation just starts happening natural, because they start to want to work with you, because the thing is you become the path of least resistance. You're the best person to work with. These other people they're working with, they have issues with. You're making it as seamless for them as possible. They can see the uptick in return because of these changes you've affected in their listing. So that's got them excited, and then that conversation just happens naturally from there. But yeah, do not call up, and if the first conversation you have is about exclusives, that's probably not going to be go very far for you.
And every person that's representing the brand.
Oh no! Was it? I wonder. Can the chat tell us? Are we still alive, or is Jordan alive? Because we're not getting any.
Can you hear me? Hello.
You got your sound. Okay, your sound is back.
All right, okay, cool. Here, Jordan. There he is.
Hey, welcome back.
Well, I don't know what happened there, but so that's actually in your experience, the brand manufacturer, they also want to look good for their boss, right? So you're dealing with some small, medium companies or larger small companies or even big companies, and they want to look good to their boss. They want to be able to say, hey, I helped fix this listing, and it's really because of the Amazon seller who's watching this has been able to provide some pointers for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is, whenever our goal is to make the person that we're working with look good. Like if we're working with a rep, I want to make him look like the best rep in the building. If we're working with, if we're working with the vice president of the company, I want to make him feel like it's the best decision that he's ever made.
That's the only account we have. Like this is what protecting their integrity and brand image. Like when they get off the phone image, I want him to have that feeling that these guys get it, they understand it, and our interests are aligned. And that's when you're going to do great things.
That's awesome. Let me I want to get to one of these questions here. Charlene Pruitt. Hi, Charlene. She says, "Do you use niches?" I think she means, are you the guys that are doing sourcing wholesale and doing I don't know what your latest numbers are, 7 mil, 11 mil a year, whatever it is. Are you focusing on a specific niche, A? And B, do you use drop shippers? So I don't get the second. I think I know what she means on the second one, but let's cover the first one first. Do you focus on a niche?
Well, here we actually suggest when people come in that they do that they are niche based. Like here's the thing.
Specifically a niche that you have an understanding about or something, because it's going to be a little awkward at first opening that dialogue with people. So if you have that common ground, you may not be an expert in honey, but maybe your uncle had a little bee set up, as a kid or something, just anything that you can have that commonality to kind of work out some of the little nerves you're going to have in a bit. So that's the reason we advise it. Not that you're just going to be more successful because you're going to be a little bit more confident, but as you just get more confident in general, you're going to be able to ring up anybody and talk to them, about anything. So that we do advise a niche starting out that you're passionate about or have some understanding because of that. But in terms of selling, we have had success in every category that we've ever sold in. There's opportunity is bountiful on Amazon. So it's not because of one category or niche is better than any other. It's just because it's going to allow, we feel like it sets you up for success earlier, that choosing that way.
Right. It's just easier to have a conversation about something you like. Eric, if you want to get to know Eric and have a real good time talking to him, start talking about the Patriots. This guy's been a Patriots fan since the early 90s. And,
so he's all excited about the Super Bowl, isn't he? Oh, the Super Bowl, he's so excited. He's almost as excited as he is to watch Justin Timberlake, though.
I would love to watch JT. I think he's super talented, but yeah, no, that's the thing. So it allows it to where you have something, they invest in you a little bit with the conversation. It makes it easier to get the ball.
I can give an example of that. It's actually an account that I actually turned down because I didn't like the margin. The margins were too thin. But I went to the Pet Expo here, and I approached the company that makes a little squeeze bottle cup for dogs because I use it and I like it so much. And I went up to the woman that was kind of like the senior person there, and I said, hey, I love this. How are things going with your Amazon resellers? I love this product. And she said, we have too many sellers right now. We don't need it. I said, okay. I said, I still love your product. And one other gentleman heard me. He came around the corner. He said, you really use that thing? And what do you think of it? And you think we could improve it? And here's our new model. This one's improved. And they actually invited me to be a reseller. So it is because I didn't come bang on the door saying you better give me some good margins. I actually showed, and I was really impassioned with the product because it's great. It's a great, very unique cup that stores fluid in it, and you can squeeze it, and then when you let go, fluid goes back down. It's very scientific. It's kind of neat, and they saw my enthusiasm there.
Yeah, so there you go. That's a perfect example of exactly what I'm talking about there.
And the second question I had, do we use drop shippers? And the answer is just no.
That doesn't fit in any entity like you guys that are sourcing wholesale to resell on Amazon. Drop shipping kind of doesn't even fit in, right?
Well, it's just I think you're leaving too much to chance when you're drop shipping, and it's a little more risky. It definitely is. There's a lot of upside to a business model like that. I'm not, but it's just not something we're comfortable doing because there's a lot of things outside your control. And with Amazon, it's you can't make too many mistakes, or they kind of get you out of there. So.
Yeah, and let me just speak to that because I actually did that not about a year ago, maybe 8 months ago, for a favor for somebody who needed to refer somebody. I took on a manufacturer of water filters for refrigerators, like aftermarket, and the deal was.
Oh no, he's gone again. That's a great pause, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jordan was.
Hopefully he gets it.
Hopefully he gets back.
Kinks.
There he is.
Sorry about that. Can you see me? Hear me?
Yeah,
yes, sir.
We're back.
Sorry about that. So, so in any case, the drop shipper allowed me to sell their product. I post the products on Amazon, third-party merchant fulfilled, and they, I processed the sale, and the margins were okay. I'd send them the paperwork, the labels digitally. They'd print out the labels, ship the product direct to the customer. And this happened for a couple months, and I started getting emails from customers saying, "Where's my stuff?" And that's the problem with drop shipping. Even though this was a reputable company, there was a whole batch one day of 30, 40 that they claimed the post office the post office did pick up. But according to the customer, 1 month later, they're like, this isn't here. And that did affect my rankings on Amazon, and it did hurt, and I did get negative feedback from people.
Absolutely.
And it's you and your business is on the hook, not the drop shipping business. So I like to keep things under a bit more control.
Right, and that's why I avoid drop shipping altogether, like you guys do. We have a question from Charlie 3. Do you just look for products that are already selling on Amazon, or do you look for new products? Good question.
We look for products that are already selling well on Amazon. Like, our goal is we're a very, very cash flow minded business. Like, we don't, we didn't start with a big giant budget. If you have millions and millions of dollars in capital, by all means, like, you can invest kind of, how you want to. But where we were a bit more cash strapped, we needed to make our cash work for us. So, like, we didn't have time to build listings. We didn't have time to advertise and get products to sell. So we take good products that are selling good and just make them sell better.
Brilliant. And you, another angle is that when you're looking for products to resell, or to contact the brand manufacturer, you're also kind of deliberately avoiding the products that are already sold by Amazon themselves, meaning the corporation, correct?
Yeah, that's one of our criteria when we're sourcing products, that it can't be sold by Amazon, and we don't like to battle with those guys. I mean, it's their rules, their house, their rules. So and sometimes they split the buy box fairly, and then sometimes they don't, and you have no control over that. So it goes to the cash flow predictability he's talking about. If I can't realistically guess or estimate what I can expect to return, and you can't when Amazon's sharing the box with you, because you don't know month to month, week to week what your rotation will be. So for that reason, we just avoid it altogether when Amazon.
But you would say there's still a significantly large opportunity of products that are out there that sell well on Amazon that are not sold by Amazon themselves.
Oh, yeah. It's insane. More to the point of what he was saying, it's like, that's the beauty of our model. I mean, that's why we love it, is that cash flow predictability. I can buy 90 units of a product and say, I'm going to sell 90 units of this product this month. That's just not possible with Amazon. Like, you may sell 90 this month, you may sell 10 the next month, because they just wouldn't give you the buy box. It's just super unpredictable. In terms of our other criteria, I can cover them on here just for any of your listeners. We like products over $20 too. That's one of our criteria, is what we're looking for, because we want bigger margins. We wouldn't need more margin dollars because of Amazon fees and processing fees. There's just so many things that eat into that margin that you need a little more of it. Then the other thing we're looking for is non-private label products. Now, the reason that we look for non-private label products is those products were designed with the intention of being sold on Amazon. Like, that was their sole goal, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it's as far as you got to look at it from the perspective of, you can't, our goal is to help the people that we work with.
Right.
And, but those companies' goals typically is not to be a retailer on Amazon. They're a manufacturer. Whereas the private label seller, their goal is always to be a retailer.
Yes,
so
correct.
Help them as well, and we just avoid it because it's the opportunity is not there for either of us. Really.
Even with those three filters, there's plenty of opportunity. We have a log full, 100, 200 lines of prospective brand owners that we're in contact with and planning to contact. So I feel like if anything, not that it's easy, but if you say that you can't find anything, it's basically just an excuse. In my opinion.
Interesting. It means you're looking with your eyes closed.
That's a good point. And Charlie followed up, says, well, then how do you choose your products to resell? And you guys just gave some parameters, but that's also covered in depth in your free video series, correct? So Charlie, if you go to TheWholesaleFormula.biz and scroll to the top, it's one of the, I think it's video number 2, guys, help me out. The third one really focuses on how these two guys and their team, Eric and Dan, how they narrow down their choice of products. They start with the Amazon through reverse sourcing model. They start by looking at what's selling within their guidelines, their benchmarks, what sells well on Amazon, and they move from there, and they show you how they do that.
We actually have a printable PDF. It's multiple pages, and it walks all the way through this. So, make sure, if you guys haven't checked it out, go to the free wholesale.biz, or what is it, Jordan?
TheWholesaleFormula.biz.
The Wholesale Formula. Well, I should know that one. wholesale-formula.biz. And check it out, because it's that's a printable thing that you can walk through at your desk.
If you say that again, I mean, how many PDFs are not printable? I know what you're saying.
But
it's a great resource.
It's one of the things that you can do is you can just look at it and go.
You can print it up and take it wherever you want to go.
Yeah, it goes with you. You can put it in your pocket,
and you can even print it as we
print it out.
You can print it. Okay, so Ganesh says, for existing listings, Ganesh has got great questions. Thank you, Ganesh.
Yeah,
but for existing listings, when you add your product, do you run any Amazon advertising? Okay, so are you using on any of your products Amazon pay-per-click program? That's what he's referring to, straight to your product. Does that help with anything, or keyword marketing? So Ganesh is basically saying, for the folks who don't know, anybody who I guess the parameters are, you have to have the buy box for the product in order to run Amazon sponsored ads, which will cost you a little bit of money. Do you guys engage on that on any of your products?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is, some of the products, that might be what they need, and that might be what they need for optimizations. They just need more traffic. But here's the beauty. Here's the beautiful part of wholesale is when you start talking to brands about how they spend their advertising budgets, because all the brands you're going to work with, they have an advertising budget, like almost all of them. And if you start talking to them about Amazon and how you can bring more customers to their brand, that's something they're going to be interested in spending money on. So a lot of the time, whenever you want, you think PPC might be an answer or might be able to help that brand, talk to them about covering the cost, and you'll be pleasantly surprised that, more often than not, they're definitely open to the idea.
Yeah. Even if oftentimes they'll cover the entire bill, and so if nothing else, a subsidy to where a split of it and help kick in that way. So yeah, they're certainly the brands that we're wanting to work with are interested in getting their brand as relevant on Amazon. If we believe that cost per click advertising is going to do that, we relay that to them, and then start talking about what we can do to get that covered so that we all make money.
And is that the pay-per-click part? Say if I'm new to this, that makes me nervous. I don't know anything about that. Is that covered in the wholesale formula itself? It is. Yes. Okay. Cool. All right. Excellent. Let's see. Charlie 3 also says, if you are looking for products that are over $20, of course you guys mean it's the price point on Amazon is $20, right? Do you also consider the weight of it?
Well, I mean, in the sense that when we run it through the Amazon fee calculator, I mean, it calculates the cost that I'm going to be getting less the weighted fee. So, of course, it's going to show up there.
Right.
But it's more about the profitability of the product. I don't care, what it weighs if the profit's still there at the end of, the calculator says I'm still going to make the money I'm looking for. Then
so you guys actually, that is a related question for me. Do you try to avoid items that will actually be have an oversized, larger, heavier items that are oversized and heavier? Or Eric, you're saying it doesn't matter.
No,
because if we're going to get them at $10 a piece and they're selling on Amazon for 40 or 35, we're still going to be making money because we know the sales volume, we know how much the Amazon fees are going to be, we know what the competition is like, and Amazon's not selling it. Hey. Right.
When a pain in the ass it is to deal with, so it means nobody else is really wanting to do it. So
that's right.
To pick up those heavy bars of gold. It'll be fine.
That's right.
It'd be if the margins are right, hell, I'd ship a bulldozer, Amazon. I wouldn't care.
If we can make our money on it, that's what matters for us. So yeah.
Excellent. Very good question. Very good answer, guys. Thank you. Okay, I don't have any other questions yet. So let's see. Let's talk about what I want to talk about a little bit is that if people are interested in buying the wholesale formula, there's a couple pieces in there that over time, after learning, from talking to customers, that there's a couple steps in there that people get intimidated with, or they're afraid to kind of do the work. And I've helped them out with that. If you guys go to jordanmalik.com/TWF bonus, and I'll put the link there. I got a Free Up, which is a network of freelancers. I got a free $100 credit. So the reason why I did that, I've got a free $100 credit for you, the person who's buying the wholesale formula. So the reason I did that is because if people want to say, like Dan says, okay, for our wholesale business, we have a corporate one-page website set up with our logo and our mission statement. And some people are like, I have no idea, even, that's Greek to me, that I got to figure out HTML or whatever. I'm intimidated by that. You get a $100 credit for the freelance site to hire a very qualified freelancer to be able to do that for you. Okay. So any folks that are looking at this and saying, oh, there's a piece of this business I'm a little uncomfortable with, you can hire a freelancer to do it. The other thing is that some of these freelancers, I guess, according to the owner of Free Up, they're already well versed in contacting brand owners.
Absolutely.
He
runs an excellent business. Like this is a bonus, Jordan. And it's, like you said, you can find somebody to build a website. You could find somebody to help you start scouting. A lot of the people that Nathan uses are incredibly well trained and can provide some real help. So that's an awesome bonus, man.
Let's talk about you guys provide as one of your own bonuses for anybody who buys a wholesale formula. You're providing a discount to Prime Zero Prep, and that is the fulfillment, what I call a pre-fulfillment piece. So somebody, one of your wholesale formula buyers that who's buying your program, they live in Europe or they live in anywhere, they live in Massachusetts, doesn't matter. They're buying quantity 200 of an item, and they're unable or they don't want to touch the inventory. So the inventory has to be shipped from the brand owner to ideally a pre-fulfillment center that's well versed in taking that inventory, inspecting it, labeling it for the individual seller, and shipping it into Amazon's warehouses. So that is now you guys have kind of, I don't know if you do that at all, because you started not knowing about pre-fulfillment centers. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, like our goal and what we try to teach, our course is not about trying to teach somebody how to make a little bit of money on Amazon. That's not our goal. Like if that's all somebody learned from it, like I feel like we failed you. Our goal is to teach somebody how to make a real sustainable long-term business. And in a business, in a business, you're not going to be touching your product. Like that should be an outsourced thing. You should be focusing on the highest value tasks in your business. You should be focusing on sourcing. You should be focusing on building relationships and things like that. And you just can't do that if you're touching products.
Right.
So, that's why we reached out to Brendan, and because we realized that that's a huge part of this, that can make people instantaneously more effective at this business is by being able to outsource that. So we did work that deal. And the deal we have with Brendan is people receive 25% off for any wholesale orders any of our students that they send it. Now, it's a really good price break so that people can send it to a reliable company who's going to get it to Amazon, get it prepped, get it to Amazon the right way, and not have to worry about it and focus on the right things in their business.
Yeah, and to answer the question real directly, yes, if prep centers existed at the time, we had no idea, never heard of them.
Right.
So obviously have a small little warehouse, started getting employees, and now we have infrastructure and employees in place, and actually enjoy being an employer. Like I find it a little rewarding. So like,
good.
But if I were starting again right now, I would definitely utilize a prep service, because of the fact that you want to be able to scale without having to be getting your hands dirty day in and day out like we did building it.
And that's a big misconception with some folks who are starting out selling on Amazon and buying products in bulk. They think they've got to actually receive it. And I've done that before for private label, and that is a real pain. Because you have to do quality control, you have to inspect every unit, you got to label stuff, and then it just becomes a nightmare. And these fulfillment centers are well versed in taking product in bulk, whether it's from a wholesaler or a private label manufacturer, and doing all that grunt work for you. And the other interesting concept that I want to talk about that some people have a misconception of is they've been doing retail and online arbitrage, and they're looking at their profit margins per item sold. So they're buying a Buzz Lightyear action figure on DisneyStore.com for $12, and they're selling it for like $39, and they're very ecstatic about the profit margin. Now, I still do online and retail arbitrage. I do a mix of everything. I do some wholesale, some of that, some private label, and retail arbitrage is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But what they don't understand is actually what happened to that part of my business this past year is the amount of work that goes into finding, receiving, labeling, repackaging, retail sourced products, and all the different SKUs that you got to keep track of, and then all the threats from the brand manufacturers, et cetera, because you're reselling their product through a retail environment. That margin becomes a lot smaller when you start thinking about all the time invested. So, people don't realize that as soon as you start getting, in my opinion, over $60,000 a year in retail arbitrage and in gross, the amount of work involved and the amount of headaches involved minimize the appeal of those larger margins. Where in wholesale, some people are doing 20% wholesale profit margin after all their expenses, and they're happy with that. Some people do 30, 40, 50, 60, and they're happy with that. So can you guys speak to that? Because you started in retail. That's how you started sourcing. You started $500, $600 on your credit card, and then you graduated because you found this to be a lot easier.
Well, I'll go ahead and start, and unfortunately, I do have to agree that wholesale isn't the sexiest model. It's not going to, it's not the most, attractive, when you look at it versus the other side. It's not as exciting, you don't have that. But I can tell you a bigger problem with RA than what you just mentioned by asking you the simple question. In 6 months, are you able to get that Buzz Lightyear for $12 again? Maybe not, but I can't predict that cash flow, and it's a great way to generate cash, but it's not a true business because
right.
You have to resource whatever is going to take the place of the Buzz Lightyear. That margin, you have to have that month over month if you're trying to still grow a business, and there's no predictability there. I mean, it's like you said, the trade-off is better margins, more instant gratification, a little better, looking on paper. But in terms of structure for a business, it's just not there.
Right. I mean, plus with retail arbitrage. I mean, we loved it. We kicked some serious butt.
Made a lot of money.
I mean, we did almost $1 million both full years that we did retail arbitrage. So we're great at it too. But you have to have big margins. Like you have to have big margins because you're not, you're selling 3, 5, 7 units of something. Like that's not very efficient to pack. That's not very efficient to ship in. Another reason you need big margins is because there's a lot of price volatility in retail arbitrage.
Right.
Like Jordan may have done a lot better at his store. He may have founded a store where it's on sale and he just has so much margin that he can literally drive the profit out of it for me. So with retail arbitrage, like you have to have those insulated margins to be able to compete.
Yeah.
Whereas with wholesale, like like you said, it's not very sexy. I mean, it's you place your order, but and it does have it does have an on the face smaller margin. But we're not driving around to pick up product. We're not looking. It's everything we do is online. We make a call and our product comes in. Now there is some work on the front end. It is work to set up a wholesale account. It is work to establish that relationship. But he asked you that question about 6 months. That product that we're buying right now, 6 months from now, we expect to be buying it again at the same price and selling the exact same margin. So while you have a lot of work on the front end, and it is very front loaded because you get to reap the rewards for a long period of time. And that's ultimately why we switched out of retail arbitrage, is because, we were doing all this work just for, we were doing all this work so we could wake up and do it again tomorrow. Now, whenever we switched to wholesale, it was, it's light and day because we work, I'll be honest with you, Jordan, we work less now than we ever have in our entire life. We make more money because the beauty of wholesale is it's process oriented. So like once you establish a process, you can outsource it or you can hire an employee to do it. And then you can grow exponentially because I can just fill my warehouse with bodies to perform tasks because everything is process based. So that lets us grow and scale a business without having to be right in the dead center of it doing everything. And that's what we're ultimately looking for.
And that's a nice comfort level to have, because I remember my day when I had to solely rely on scouting for product daily to bring it home and process it before I did wholesale, before I did private label, and before I did anything else. And it's scary because you're saying to yourself, okay, I got enough. If anybody here relies on Amazon for their total income, for instance, or Amazon, eBay, or whatever, you're thinking to yourself, I got enough product to give me revenue for 2 weeks. What happens after 2 weeks, right? So it is scary to approach it from that and be like, it could be where I'm not going to find something after 2 weeks, or I'm going to have to hustle very, very hard again and again and again to keep that revenue momentum coming in. And wholesale, just like I said earlier, I survey my readers all the time, and the questions that the problems they send to me are all remedied by sourcing wholesale products to resell on Amazon, sourcing wholesale the right way. I want to talk about one thing that there's a big misconception of in buying a list. So many people watching this video, many people looking at the wholesale formula for the first time or haven't sourced wholesale yet, they think, or they've tried going online and buying a list. And I know the problems with that, but I'd like to hear it from your guys' mouths. Very, very basic. And I know you know this cold. So
the thing is the barrier to entry is just a few dollars or whatever it costs for the list, and then everybody has it. I mean, and then you're not. There's nothing to keep the product good. There's no working relationship set up. It's just a situation where it's just wholesale arbitrage at that point. Really, it's just because when that competition, everybody getting in, is going to produce a situation similar to retail arbitrage, the dreaded race to the bottom and things of that nature. It's really low hanging fruit, and when it is, everybody can just pull up and get some of it, and then usually that's not where we want to be.
For sure. Let me ask you a question, Jordan. Let's say that you buy that list and I buy that list. What's the difference? Nothing. The only difference is how much either one of us can spend. If I can spend more than you, I'm a better customer. If you can spend more than me, you're a better customer. That's the only definition of value from that company, right? That's the only thing they care about at that point.
Right.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to establish relationships with companies. We're trying to become basically an integral part of their Amazon team. And that's
Right.
we want to make Amazon an easy process for them. So it is very, very different. You're right. Buying a list, it is wholesale arbitrage. That's what it is. You're buying a deal one time effectively, like a lot of closeouts and stuff like that. That's what those lists typically are. It's just closeouts and stuff like that. And it's, you buy that closeout, but guess what? Even if that was a good one, guess what you got to do again? You got to find the next good closeout.
Yes.
And your income is only as good as your ability to find that next good deal.
And it's direct output situation. Like you only get out of it the amount of work. We had a great time. We'd build up a lot of money in RA. We'd take a vacation, a week off, and you see those sales numbers just start growing because we're not putting anything back in.
Right.
Wholesale is a reorder. It's something that you're resourcing again with an email and a phone call, and you just continue to grow, that way because you have that steady products that you're reordering month over month.
But here's the irony that you guys haven't mentioned yet, because you're so entrenched in it, is that when somebody like me, a third party seller, is buying a list online, it's probably not even from the manufacturer itself, correct?
Correct.
It's somebody posing, and I wrote a blog article about this very recently. It's somebody posing like they've got they are the provider of wholesale product themselves, but they're not.
Right.
Correct.
Marketing it up to make as another middleman.
Well, really. I mean, and what you've mentioned right there is a really scary proposition, because now it's assumed that you bought that product from the list, and I bought it directly from the manufacturer. Guess who got the better price?
The middleman.
Guess how hard you're going to struggle to sell that product, because I got to working right out of it. So you just created the same problem that exists in retail arbitrage. I mean, that's why we really do just call that kind of thing wholesale arbitrage. I mean, it's because that's what it is.
It's very scary, and the only person making the money, like you said, is the middleman. It's definitely, and they fool people. It makes me angry because they fool people day after day after day after day. Individual Amazon eBay sellers with their last buck on their last credit card, and they're buying these lists. They're getting completely.
You just have to educate people and let them know that there isn't an easy way to do it. There is no easy button, and when you start looking for one, that's when you're going to get into situations, uncomfortable or even worse situations. Right. I mean, so we didn't get here with lists. We didn't get here. We've laid out in the workshop, exactly what we do now, and we continue to refine and make improvements. And that's the thing. And so I feel like, that's just no way, to build a long-term business.
Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
I mean, for better or for worse, what we've always done is we've always wanted to teach people to fish. Like, I don't want to be the guy handing you fish, because what happens if I run out in my bag? That means Jordan doesn't eat. It means Eric doesn't eat. It means all the people that I'm serving don't eat. So rather than do that, we have always focused on trying to teach people to find their own fish. We want you, I want you, Jordan, I want you to grow your own business so you don't have to rely on me or anybody else, because that's what financial freedom really is. It's very not to rely on somebody else.
That is very well said, Dan. And let's talk about the right type of list. This is a different definition, of course, but when anybody here that's interested in buying the wholesale formula, when you go and you buy it from my bonus page, jordanmalik.com/TWF bonus, there is a wholesale list that you get that I pay for out of pocket. These guys can confirm that. The wholesale formula offers a list or multiple lists to anybody. I'm buying one for you when you buy the wholesale formula through my link. But this is a list of Amazon products that are super ideal for somebody to be contacting the brand manufacturer for, correct? So these are the same parameters that Dan and Eric use into narrowing down ideal products on Amazon, because Amazon's not a seller. There's X amount of sellers. There's probably X amount of margin, etc. This list of products is what you get as a bonus, right, guys?
Now, I can tell you how this list is way different, Jordan. This list isn't. We're not telling you. This list is not just a product. What it is, you have to go do that work. I mean, We're telling you this product fits our criteria. You should go set up an account with them, but you have to set up that account. You have to make all the calls and stuff like that. So it is fishing. That's what it is. It's teaching you to fish again.
But what it's effectively doing is taking, a needle in the haystack and reducing the haystack to the size of maybe two hands. So you're looking for the needle, but you already got it pared down quite a bit. All the chafe and stuff out, and now you still. That's what I said. This isn't a just buy everything on this list. That's not what this is. This is just
right, yes.
A lot of criteria. You still need to do due diligence from there, but it's going to be your jump starting, basically. You're starting out 100 meters ahead of everybody else because you've removed, through filtering and all the criteria that we do to get a lot of that excess hay, so to speak, out of the way and really get you looking in the spots you're most likely to have success.
Why do I have to, just a quick question is, why do I have to go through the hay with my hands looking for a needle? That seems stupid, right?
It is dangerous, so maybe put some gloves on or something.
Let's talk about, I know you guys are transparent and upfront about this, so this, there's legal disclaimers to this, your results may vary if you're watching this, but can you talk into your top of mind, your top like 3 customers that have purchased a Wholesale Formula, what they're like now, what they're doing? I know you have 2 videos in the free series at TheWholesaleFormula.biz. Folks can look at I think it's video number 4, where you hit profile a couple people. But can you in a nutshell say, hey, Jordan, we've got these 2 folks, these 3 folks, and they've surprised us. They're going gangbusters. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. And here's something I want to caution against, though. And it's, defining success by just the sales number. I mean, we got some amazing students who are doing some really big things, but we also have some students who, they've found success because they've created a smaller business that's completely lifestyle based for them.
Right. So maybe it's just reducing the stress burden, like it's given the financial freedom to take that stress out of their life. They may not be doing the numbers that, some of these ridiculous numbers that other students are doing, but they're more fulfilled. They're happier because they have that freedom to quit their job or do whatever it is and really enjoy life on their terms. And that's going to be the highest level of success in my opinion.
Sure. But we do have some
all-stars
that are doing some real kick butt stuff, like David. I mean, I don't even know at this point. Yeah. David's David's sales are probably higher than ours at this point. Like he's just kicking some serious butt.
Which is great. That's phenomenal, actually.
We got Jonathan Ramsuchik. I mean, his sales at this point are at least catching ours. It's really close. I mean, he did.
You guys have had folks that have taken your wholesale formula and they've gone on to teach others. Hey, look at my wholesale business. I'm going to go and I'm going to teach others how to do this too, right?
Exactly. And it's that's the thing is, and that's part of. To be honest with you, Jordan, that's one of the things that we love about this business. Is that kind of that ripple effect is, we might get to affect somebody's life, but maybe they get to affect 2 or 3 or 4 more people's lives. So it's, it's kind of amazing when you think about it, how far out the wholesale formula has gotten at this point.
And that's it. I want to go back to what you were saying earlier. I don't want folks to be intimidated and say, oh my God, I don't know if I'd be able to handle doing a multi-million-dollar business. I just want to make some extra money. And that's how I started it, is that I was happy to get enough money to say, okay, sourcing this is going to bring me enough money to pay the rent or pay half the rent or pay the car payment or pay for a tank of gas. So folks can start as small, almost as small as they want to. You're going to have to be thinking a little bit bigger than retail arbitrage, right? Or you can go as high as you want to, and you don't need a warehouse to be doing this. That's like one of the biggest roadblocks people are thinking.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a large one. It's a vehicle that can take you as far as you want to go in terms of like how serious of a business you want to set up and establish, all the way down, like you said, to just a lifestyle change due to an increase in passive income. And those are all great. And, it's about the person getting out of it, fulfillment for themselves at whatever level that is. For us, obviously, clearly, we've been very focused and determined to build a self-sustaining business. That's our goal, and these are the things that and then we're teaching things that allow you to emulate that, but you don't have to go that far to enjoy the success, because that's going to be found on a personal level.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys say it's not sexy, because seeing both of you with your T-shirts is,
well,
color coordinated with the sign behind you. That's
we did. They actually did it.
Dapper Dan. I mean, they don't call him that for nothing.
Jordan's showing me up. I mean, slick shave and everything.
You're looking a little rugged. Looking
Ask
sharp.
my wife; she'll tell you how unsexy it is. Believe me. Listen, we got another question here, guys. This is a good one. Is it possible that several Wholesale Formula students who buy your program could go after the same brand owner and end up stepping over each other trying to change the same listing?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it is certainly possible. I mean, I don't know how often that happens, but I can say this: we actually got our butt kicked by a student on one of the products that we carry.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, she did a great job, and she came in, and it was just something where, you know, again, it was really her niche, and she loved the product and had a great you know, just a great amount of knowledge about it. And
but were you guys able to both sell still or no?
Well, actually, they actually went to a semi-exclusive with her. So
left us out.
Okay, so it happens, but it's extremely rare.
Right.
Sure, but I mean, again, that's you know, what we teach is we teach people how to be able to do that.
Right.
And we apparently taught her good enough that she beat us.
She leveraged her abilities, which is more personal. I mean, we're not this huge seller, but we're certainly, you know, larger than her, and so like she got to, you know, to leverage her personal account, you know, maintenance or what have you, like on that personal level to really resonate with them, where clearly we did, you know, drop the ball there, and good for her. She, you know, she knocked it out of the park.
But I think that goes to show you that, I mean, you don't have, like, the little guy can win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what that really does go to show you is, you know, our business may be 10x her size, but she still beat us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that, you know, to me, I think we love it. We love it because it meant that we did our job and we taught her how to, you know, we taught her how to do a great job with serving their needs. But, you know, again, I really do think it just goes to show you that you can win at any level in this game. Like, Amazon is for anybody.
Awesome. Guys, I'm out of questions, and you've been, even though you were 15 minutes late, we had a nice solid hour packed full of info here. Anything you want to add?
Not just check it out, TheWholesaleFormula.biz, as you said. Get those videos. You know, they're up for the next week, but you need to get them. You know, watch them, take notes if you need to. Get into the Facebook group, get interactive, and take advantage of this opportunity, because it's no matter what, you will become a better business person for it. And that, I'm not limiting it to wholesale. I'm not limiting it to Amazon. I'm just saying your business mindset will be sharpened from having watched and taken in this information.
Right. And here's the thing. You know, the wholesale formula is not open all the time. Like,
right.
This is an opportunity. You can go get that free information right now at TheWholesaleFormula.biz. You can check it out. And afterwards, you can actually buy the course right now. If it resonates with you, and if it's one of those things where it's like, God, this really makes sense, and this is something I'm looking for, you can actually buy it right now. 2 weeks from now, that's not going to be the case.
Right.
Like, our course is not open all the time. We open 1 to 2 weeks a year, and this just happens to be one of them. So, you know, I know Jordan's got an awesome following, but my suggestion would be jump in, suck up all the information in that free workshop, and then if you're ready, pull the trigger and get started, because, you know, 6 months from now, you could be the person beating us on an account again.
And take advantage of those bonuses. I mean, that's pretty spectacular to get you kick-started. I mean, you know, I'm going to toot our horn here. I love your bonus. I want to toot our own horn a little bit and say, for anybody, like, that's of course for anybody super intimidated. If you feel kind of on the fence, there's a video in there where Dylan goes through and teaches you how to put a site very similar to the one we put up in, what, is it 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like there's a video in there. It's like where he goes literally from scratch, creates an account on Wix, I believe is the platform he uses, to a fully operational mission statement type website that we would be in, and it's 30 minutes or less, you know. So it's and then if not, you obviously got you're started with that $100 outsourcing with free up, and you know, so it's on you. If you want to make excuses, to continue to make excuses for yourself, be my guest. I'll let you all day long. But if you want accountability and you want to get started and do something, like you said, now is the time. And
hey, Jordan's giving them all kinds of incentives. That's the other thing. Is like right now, it's not only can you sign up right now. Right now, you can sign up and get all these awesome bonuses from Jordan. So I think it's just a great. It's a great time for your viewership. When they get a chance to go suck up a bunch of free information,
yes,
and they decide to make that purchase, they get a whole bunch of awesome bonuses from Jordan.
And I was looking. I mean, I know it's kind of cliche, and it's one of my favorite quotes, and it's a Henry Ford, and it's whether you really you can or you can't. You're absolutely right.
Right.
So, there it is.
Yeah. So check it out, guys. If you're still with us at the wholesaleformula.biz, there's free training there on that same page. When you scroll down, if you're interested in buying the program from them, there, which is, you know, you can get the free information with no obligation to buy anything. It's at the wholesaleformula.biz. If you want to see my bonuses that I provide, you can go to jordanmalik.com/TWF bonus. That's TWF for the wholesale formula. TWF bonus, and we got the links here in the chat room. Okay, guys, that's all I've got. So
I'm sorry we had the technical difficulties, but I think it turned out to be great, man. We love being on here with you, and we love your audience, man.
Always a blast.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody, for attending.
Bye.
Bye-bye.